Bobby Labonte out of Corpus Christi, Texas on the pole. To his outside, New Jersey speedster Danny Bone. Folks, by the grace of God and 600 horsepower, here's the Warrior 100 at Caraway. Danny Bone, a two-time winner of Tour Type Modified competition at Caraway, leaps out into the lead here of the Warrior 100. First lap complete at the start-finish line. Matt Hirschman squeezes into second in that smart Chevy number 60 for Big Money Matt. Bobby Labonte back to third, last week's winner. Carson Lofton in fourth, but he's under fire right now. Here comes Jake Crum, the Pace-O-Matic pole sitter, trying to get that spot, and does early on in this race in that Cherokee number 12 PA. Jake Crum knows, we got a big one down in the corner. Several cars involved. Brian Lofton in the 15. Last year's champion, Burt Myers in the Peanut Patch number 1. We're going to take one more look at it. And it appears as though Luke Baldwin, I want to definitely take a look at that one or two more times, maybe even slow-mo if we can do that. Matt Smith on the controls here for us. And it looks like there might have been some contact to the back of Luke Baldwin's car, but Luke might have been slowing down because before him, I believe that was Brandon Ward, kind of checked up a little bit. And it was Ryan Newman who made contact with Luke Baldwin down in the corner as they kind of got jacked up down there. Just a victim of circumstances for everybody involved. Fortunately, here we come, back to the green flag. They fire and race back into turn number 1, side by side around this racetrack. 0.455 the miles in length for this beautiful facility on a Sunday afternoon in the Tar Heel state of North Carolina. Bone back to the front. Hirschman second. Labonte third. And look at who's back in fourth. It's Carson Lofton. Jake Crum falling back to fifth. And then sixth place is Anthony Bello. Side by side for second. Hirschman on the outside. It's Labonte on the inside. Lots of experience right there in racing in the South. Labonte, the former champion here of the late model stock car wars back in 1987 at Caraway Speedway. He's got Hirschman hung on the outside. Labonte with the preferred groove, but Hirschman just so smooth off the corner with the throttle, able to get back and maybe almost taking that top spot. But you see that little wobble in turn number 1 certainly hurt the progress of Matt Hirschman. Great view by the drone, brought to you by Carolina Drilling and Citrus Safe Grill Cleaners. Labonte on the inside. Hirschman did this last week at Florence as well. Rode that outside groove, maybe trying something early to see if it works. Labonte closes up and fills that hole. Carson Lofton behind them, the 23, that 15-year-old kid, doesn't know which way to go just yet. So now in the back half of the top 10, the caution now is out. That concludes at the end of 31 laps in honor of Zach Brewer. It concludes Bell Helmets segment number 1. So the top 3 as they stand, Danny Bone, Matt Hirschman, and Bobby Labonte will all be awarded a little extra cash, as well as some bonus points that go towards the championship equation. Danny Bone, Matt Hirschman, the front row. Check this out from the Citrus Safe and Carolina Drilling drone. Great addition to our FloRacing broadcast, and we'll have some more bells and whistles when we get to South Boston for the Pace-O-Matic King of the Modifieds. Matt Hirschman by Danny Bone for the lead here, just past the lap 30 marker in the Warrior 100. Bone now under fire for second. Carson Lofton, the kid on the outside, battling with Danny Bone. Danny Bone used to be one of those young and up-and-coming racers, now a veteran. He reminds me, I'm not that old yet, okay? But Carson Lofton trying to dispose of him for second. He does. Lofton up to second. Bone trying to hold on to third, but Bobby Labonte is there on the outside as well. Good battle here in the top 5. Labonte trying to make that top 5 spot work for him to the outside to get into third. Not able to do it just yet, but a little slip up by Danny Bone in the 24. That's going to give Labonte the third position. Bone back to fourth, and fifth place now, the 0-5 of Brandon Ward, the defending winner of this race. When we talk about Matt Hirschman, you talk about the success of that driver. Just think about what he's been able to do. 55 Race of Champions Modified Series wins, a handful of wins on the NASCAR Wheel of Modified Tour, 16 Tri-Track Modified wins, 17 at Smyrna Speedweeks. The interesting thing about Matt Hirschman, another competitor in the field, Jimmy Blewett, who now runs in 8th. Blewett's pretty good. He says, you know what? Matt Hirschman a lot better than me. Honestly, he said Matt Hirschman is the new Richie Evans. Nobody better than Matt right now in modified competition, and he might be rivaling with the likes of 9-time NASCAR modified champion Richie Evans as well. And that's a big statement by the character Jimmy Blewett, who is now trying to pick off another spot. Here's Jimmy Blewett trying to go by Will Lambros. So Jimmy Blewett looks like he's going to be able to pick up that 7th spot, but that's a big statement by Jimmy Blewett, and he's seen a lot of great race car drivers in his day. Behind that, there's Anthony Bello, as well as Joey Coulter. Bello running in the 9th spot, Coulter in 10th, and Burt Myers, last year's winner of the Revolutionary 99 here at Caraway, running in 11th right now. So Burt Myers not having the showing that we thought he would, didn't have a great qualifying effort, but he is a 14-time winner, is Burt Myers. We got a yellow flag. A car, as you saw by our FloRacing cameras right there, stopped on the outside of turn number 2. It's the Kevin Says Yes.com 04 for Brandon Ward, the defending winner of this Warrior 100 from 1 year ago. We'll see if he can come back to the front. Up front, it's Baldwin and Lofton front row. Lofton gonna make this one look easy. Carson Lofton, the 15-year-old kid, to the front in the Warrior 100. Wow. That kid, as Matt Hirschman was talking about, just so talented. Luke Baldwin now files into second. Third place is Bobby Labonte. The battle, though, a little bit behind that for the 5th spot. Jimmy Showtime Blewett and Danny Bone, a pair of New Jersey speedsters going at it for that spot. Blewett with the edge at the line, and now here comes Anthony Bello to the inside of Danny Bone. That lower lane going to open up, hopefully for Danny Bone. He does not get freight trained right now because he's in a precarious position here on the outside. He stands on the gas and files in. Great job by Danny Bone to file in right behind Jimmy Blewett. Little bumper tag down there in the corner as Blewett kind of drove in a little bit hard. Burt Myers is there as well. Battle for second, no longer. There goes Bobby Labonte by his teammate at S&S Racing, Luke Baldwin. Oh, look at this on the front stretch. Lofton almost got to the inside retaining wall. People all over the place here on the front stretch. Lofton, Blake Barney in that black and white 27, going at it a little bit further back in the field. Lofton, Ryan Newman. Here comes Newman to the inside of Bobby Labonte. Two greats from the NASCAR Cup Series going at it for just a second. Newman now up to second, now trying to reel in Carson Lofton. Newman, 46 years old. The leader of this race, just 15 years old. I'm sure Carson Lofton watched a lot of Ryan Newman in the NASCAR Cup Series in his younger years. We say younger years, he's just 15 years old. But Ryan Newman, one of NASCAR's greatest drivers, now running for a championship. Let's see that number 2 car to widen out just a little bit to see Carson Lofton as well as Ryan Newman. There's the gap right now. About 6-7 car lengths, the distance between first and second. And then you see Labonte lurking back there in the 3rd spot as well. About 4 or 5 car lengths between Carson Lofton and Ryan Newman. We head back to the Carolina Drilling Citrus Safe Grill Cleaners drone. Philip Dixon flying this drone high above this .455 mile oval. And you can see Lofton, who came here with his father for so many years to watch his dad. And his dad an 18-time winner of tour-type modified competition here. Well, as we've said, you know, he is a shadow of his dad. Maybe even more mature than his dad was early on in his racing career. But he definitely learned a lot from his dad, Brian Lofton. Newman, new ride for him this year. Randy Renfro turning the wrenches on this number 2 car. Last year being driven by Brandon Ward. Finished second in points. Now it's Newman in this car going after a championship in the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Under 10 to go now here in the Warrior 100. Burt Myers still trying to make his way by Anthony Bello. Bello in the 79. Now some interesting lap traffic for the top 2 as well. Here comes Burt Myers, looks to the inside of Anthony Bello. If he's able to open up the door, that's going to allow 3 cars to go by Bello. Bello doesn't let it happen. Back to the lead. Newman is closing in now. Newman within a car length or 2 of Carson Lofton. Back here, Burt Myers going to be able to get the spot, and watch what this does. Bello might be in trouble. Burt Myers able to pick up the spot. Myers now up to 7th. Myers hoping for a late race caution. Maybe he was able to gain some more spots. Coulter gets by too. So it's actually Myers in 7th, Joey Coulter in 8th. Bello in the 79. His transponder working sometimes and not other laps as well. So they're stacked up from 7th on back there. Back up front. 5 to go. Now 4 this time by. Can Newman catch him? We'll keep our eyes peeled. Daniel Yates, a slower car. A little wiggle out of Daniel Yates. That's got to scare Carson Lofton. Yates, that handling going away on that number 18 car. Carson Lofton around him. Newman is there. But can he close in anymore? And we got some smoke down there in the corner. I believe maybe a car stuck on the inside, and it's Dad, Brian Lofton. That is not what Carson Lofton wanted to see late in this race, but it's his dad bringing out the caution here in the Warrior 100 with just 3 laps to go. The 60 came down pit road. He had a punctured right front tire and a broken coil on the 25 as well. Some reports, thank you, to our series director, Chris Williams. Ryan Newman, we've been listening to his radio transmission. He wants to know where everybody is, who's starting behind him, who's on the bottom side of the second row. Well, right now, it's Lofton to his inside as the leader of this race. Bobby Labonte's on the inside of the second row. And Jimmy Blewett, who says he has a car that could win here today. He'll have to do so from the 4th starting spot on this restart. This spot on the inside is Danny Bone. Luke Baldwin holding on to that 7 VA to the outside of the 3rd row. The 4th row, Joey Coulter in the 02, Burt Myers in the Citrus Safe number 1. Will Lambrose, another top 10 run for him in that Skip Barber Racing School red 77. He's 9th at this restart. And Anthony Bello in the Sundrop 79, rounding out the top 10 as they line up for the restart. 3 laps to go. It's a dash for the cash in the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. And Carson Lofton is trying to hold on with one of the best in the business alongside Ryan Newman. Lofton edges out front. Newman now goes to the low side. A little wiggle out of Newman and a bump to the back bumper of Carson Lofton. This is going to be war in the final 2 laps of this race. We'll see what happens here in this one. Lofton on the outside now. Here comes Newman. Newman trying to pass Carson Lofton in the closing laps of the Warrior 100. We got a car up in turn number 2, stopped. A car stopped. The yellow flag comes out. Daniel Yates with some right front suspension damage on that number 18 car brings out the caution with 2 to go. (15 years old on the inside for Carson Lofton, 46 years old on the outside for Ryan Newman. Green flag is out. Newman gives him room. Lofton takes him high. Lofton trying to push him up the racetrack, able to get the run up off the bottom. Newman has to file in behind him, gives Lofton a shot down in 3 and 4. White flag is out for Carson Lofton. Can he hold on? Newman is there, one more shot. He tries to get to the bumper, cannot do it. Down in 3 and 4, Newman. He's got one more shot down here. What is he going to do? He wraps him on the back bumper. Lofton, the kid, holds on. Carson Lofton, 2 in a row to start the season for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. But we have a wild wreck down in turn number 4 as well. Burt Myers and Brian Lofton, 2 cars hard up against the wall as they came to the checker. You saw those 2 drivers hit the wall hard in turn number 4. Second place in this one, Ryan Newman. Third, Bobby Labonte. Fourth, Jimmy Blewett. And fifth, it appears as if it's Danny Bone.